Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be going over some of the really cool new design features from Liquid Glass, and that is everything from being able to change components and get the smooth animation from the Liquid Glass and also the really cool design effects, all the way to viewing the new components such as WebView that are built into SwiftUI now, and even being able to check out the automatic changing of content from dark to light, even in headers and footers, just when the content is under it. So the accessibility of the Liquid Glass. If you're as excited as I am to learn more about this really cool new feature from Apple, then stay tuned. Let's learn together. So here we are inside our brand new Xcode project. We're ready to try out some of the new Liquid Glass design. So I wanted to see what these looked like. So let's go ahead and create a new file. And we'll create a new SwiftUI view. And let's call this components. So there are a few built-in components from Apple that are supposed to automatically get the new Liquid Glass design without us having to do anything, just rebuilding from old components. So let's see what that looks like. One thing we can do is we could use our ChatGPT integration. So I kind of want to try that and see, since all we want is just a screen with a few predefined components on there. So let's use our ChatGPT integration and see how that works. So let's ask it, give me a VStack that has a button, a picker with a few options, a slider, a segmented control, and a toggle switch. Nice. Okay, very cool. So that was actually really helpful. We were able to get a bunch of quickly built and easily accessible dummy UI here. So we've got a button, and that doesn't look very glass effect right now, but there is a new glass effect modifier that we can add to our button itself. So it looks like we need to give that button a little bit of extra padding first. Very cool. So now we've got a button here, and it's got that nice glass effect. Nice. And so let's try our segmented control. Oh man, that's really cool. If you tap it, it looks like just a regular segmented control. But if you're one of the users that likes to click on a thing and drag it, nice, it looks like that works whenever you select the first one. But if you select the second one first and try to move it, there's no liquid glass effect. Okay, so that's cool. Our toggle switch. Now I usually just tap on a toggle, and so you don't really see much of anything. It does jump a little bit, and you can see the UI trying to possibly do some stuff. Don't know if that's just a weirdness with some of the beta features, but if you click and drag, you get that nice glass effect. Very cool. And then our slider. So this is also supposed to have a glass effect with it too. Very cool. Okay, that's kind of fun. So as you can see, when you get closer to the edge, the end of the slider, you can actually see that that line is moving more towards the right. And when you get farther away and closer to the end, it actually moves farther towards the left. Really cool. All right. And then our picker, let's see. Okay, nice. You can see the really subtle background gradient here with the liquid glass background, giving us the nice animation, almost like a liquid animation, you might say, whenever the picker pops up and displays a menu. That's really cool. In fact, let's just ask for that. Let's see, can you add a menu with a few different options to this VStack? Nice. Okay, so let's check out our menu and see what that looks like too. Cool. We get the same nice little liquid animation like we do for our picker, and we even get that nice blur effect. So you can see that little subtle blue line kind of going through the background here. and the same thing. You can see it. Oh, that's really cool. So that one, you can actually see a little bit of the distortion on the background. Now, one thing I've heard a few people complain about online is that this glass effect makes it really hard to read. And in some cases, it can be a little bit more difficult to read. Now, Apple's already kind of considered that. There are accessibility settings that you can turn on, and that will make those very thin glass items that are harder to distinguish the foreground from the background. It can make those foreground elements a little bit less transparent, and even give them borders to help make that even more accessible to users that may have issues being able to distinguish the foreground from the background. But overall, that looks really nice and really cool. Now, those are some of the built-in components, but you can also have some navigation. That was actually one of the reasons why I wanted to check out the components individually. So now let's go back over to our content view, and we'll just get rid of our VStack for now, and we'll replace it with our tab view. And inside of our tab view, we will create a new tab, and we'll call this one Components. And it will have a system image of house, for example. And then we will pass in our components view. And then let's go ahead and let's make another view, because there's another really cool new feature from Swift that I wanted to try out. And let's call this our tab, and let's call this web. And we'll say that this is a system image of a cloud. So there's a new component, and you've probably already heard about this one too, called web view. And this web view component takes a URL, and so we will pass in a URL that is from a string, and our string will be https://jpmtech.io. Nice. Okay, so it says it can't find WebView in scope. And this is something that I've seen a few different times in the preview. Even though it can't find the WebView, you can actually add an import to get this to work. So if you add the import of WebKit_Swift UI, misspelled kit. There we go. WebKit_Swift UI. And now this is something I've seen too a lot in the beta product, is you'll have a failing build that won't display on the preview, but if you just go to another screen or tab inside of Xcode and then come back, it usually works. There we go. So now you can see that our preview is happy. Another fun bug with macOS beta, but don't worry, they're working on cleaning those up. So now, as you can see, we've got two tabs down here. And so if we click on the one that's selected and we can drag, you can see that we get that nice glass effect on our tab view selector, which is really cool too. And as you can see, this is a web view that we did not have to write ourselves, which is really cool. And this component is just built into SwiftUI now, which is really nice. Now, there's some other cool new navigation stuff with the liquid glass that we can kind of go over. So let's create another new tab, and let's say that this tab is going to be called Scrolling, and it will have a system image of a scroll. There we go. All right, and so let's just put a scroll view in here, and inside of our scroll view, we will say that we have a list from 0 to 100 with just the items itself. And that is absolutely correct. This is our index that we just used up here. Nice. Now let's go ahead and let's add some padding to these items here. And let's say that they have a background. And let's say that if the index dot is a multiple of 2, for example, then we want to say that we have a color dot black. Otherwise, we want color dot white. There we go. Now let's go ahead and let's also wrap this in navigation stack, and put our closing bracket down here. Very cool. And then on our scroll view, we will give ourselves a navigation title of a scrolling text. And then let's go ahead and give it a toolbar. And that toolbar will have a toolbar item. And the content, let's just say, is a button with a name of add and a system image of plus. And it does stuff. There we go. When you click it, cool. And now we'll be able to kind of see some of the other more navigation side of our scroll view here. And actually, since this is a list, it actually doesn't need a scroll view wrapped around it. So let's go ahead and remove that scroll view that is not needed out of there. There we go. All right, and so now let's come back and check out our preview. Cool. So I want this content to go ahead and take up the full width of the list here. So let's go ahead and let's say that we want a list style of plain. And I also want the frame of this text icon to be a max width of infinity. There we go. And now that should take up the whole width of the list. All right, and now let's go ahead and move that frame from just the background, because we don't want the background to take up the whole width. We actually want the text to take up the whole width too. All right, so now let's go back over to our scrolling preview here, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, cool. So that's what I wanted to check out. So if you notice down here on our tab view, whenever there is sufficiently dark content behind it, the tab view changes over to a dark content, and whenever there's light content behind it, it changes back over to a more light content, and that's meant to try to help everything be a little bit more visible. So that's actually really, really cool. Now if we keep scrolling, you can see that our navigation header up top will fade into the background, and then it will appear on the top of the screen. And if we are over light content, you can kind of see that there's a little bit of a fuzzy blur or fuzzy background behind our content here. And if we go over dark content, it changes to a lighter color to try to help keep this navigation title being as easily read as possible. Yeah, that is actually really cool. Now, something else that's really cool to check out, you can see on our plus button right here, whenever we are scrolling the content, that you get that lensing effect from the glass material on our button. That is so cool. That is a really nice animation, and it looks very nice, very cool. Now, there's also one more really cool feature of the new that came out of WWDC that I've been excited to try out, and that is the playground macro. So if you didn't know, now inside of Xcode, you can use the playground macro, and it says no macro named playground. So let's go ahead and import playgrounds. So if you missed that, there's also this import up here that you can do to get the playgrounds modifier to work, or macro to work, excuse me. And so now, anywhere that you want a playground, you can say let's say that we want to print 2 plus 2 equals 2 plus 2. And so now, as you can see, our preview is rebuilding, and there's that bug again. So let's go to a different screen, for example, and then come right back. Nice. So now, as you can see, we actually have two previews up here. The first preview is our tab view, and the other preview is our content view. And as you can see, that we are printing 2 plus 2, and that equals 4. Nice. That's really cool. So we can do whatever kind of Swift test that we want to do. and just check and see if code works really quickly and easily. Now, there's something that that is also a nice feature of this. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit difficult to tell what exactly is what whenever we're looking at the names of our preview windows up here. But there has been a feature in Swift for a long time and is in the existing version of Swift and Xcode out right now, where you can actually come in here and you can name. So this is a content view. And so you can actually name a preview window, and that makes it a little bit easier to read. So for example, we could say that this is our tab view. Maybe that'll make it easy to remember which one we are looking at here. But you can also do the same thing with this new playground modifier. And so we could say that this is our playground, which is really cool. And so now it's really easy for us to come up here and look at our navigation and say, this is the one that has the tab view in it, and this has our playground in it. So that's another really cool feature that I'm excited to get to use and learn more with in Swift. And with that, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And go ahead and let me know in the comments down below what your new favorite feature from WWDC this year was. And if you do decide to leave a comment, just be nice about it. That's all I ask. Thanks. Have a great day.